I got up on an early Saturday morning before anyone around was awake. I quickly made my daily breakfast smoothie and then rushed out of Hill. The weather outside? Horrible, nasty, chilly. Strange because just a week earlier, Philadelphia was getting SoCal skies with temperatures in the 70s. Oh well, what can you do? I headed down to the subway station, waited, and finally took the train to Philadelphia Chinatown, where I bought a $12 ticket to New York on a shady Chinatown tour bus. And when I say shady, I mean shady. I had very little to do for the 2-hour ride, so I just read some German homework. And then, just after 10 o'clock, I started crossing into New York City, the Big Apple. It's still hard for me to imagine that Manhattan is actually a somewhat isolated island. This was actually my second time taking this route. The last time I was here was a whole month ago during spring break. Once we got into NYC, I stepped off the bus into the rainy, damp streets. I hopped on the number 1 of the amazing New York City Metro, much better than Philly's, for the Lincoln Center, where I would reunite with my high school choir. It's been a few months since I visited them back in San Francisco in January, so I was really looking forward to it. Amazingly, this Carnegie Hall trip comes on the 2nd year anniversary of our Chanticleer Festival and concert at Davies Symphony Hall, and on the 1-year anniversary of our festival in Anaheim, where we won the chance to come to Carnegie this year. Even though I've graduated, I decided that I was not going to miss out. No way. I walked inside, met Mr. Chan despite not noticing that he was standing next to me, and he took me up to the balcony to watch the end of the rehearsal with Eric Whitacre himself. A short while later, after the rehearsal was over, we met again with everyone outside, and I was so happy to see so many old friends. We started walking back to the Hilton where everyone was staying, and Mr. Chen decided to serve as my cameraman yet again. But this time, since I'm doing a voiceover vlog, it didn't really matter. We got to the super fancy Hilton, piled into an elevator, and headed up to our rooms to get ready for a day of exploration. By the way, the view up there on the 34th floor was pretty amazing. At about 12:15, we headed back out into the city streets and hopped on the metro, which took us to Union Square. Yes, I know there's one in San Francisco, but this is New York we're talking about. First things first, lunch. We went into this Italian restaurant called Vapiano. I got this shrimp scampi pasta, but it wasn't all that great. Oh well, this isn't Little Italy after all. After lunch and meeting up with Lisa, we went over to Amarino Gelato a few blocks away, and it was amazing. They even put my ice cream in the shape of a rose with 3 different flavors. Oh, and Lisa's NYU half-off discount wasn't such a bad deal either. We went back to Union Square and did a little bit of Hangai before meeting up with the rest of choir. We then walked down towards Washington Square and Soho very slowly, making lots of stops on the way. Very slowly. But hey, this is what you come to New York City to do. NYU, super dry, photo stop at Washington Square Arch. And then we got to Soho, south of Houston, where there were plenty of boutiques and clothing stores. We split up to walk around. I went into a single store, Topshop, and I got bored already, so Ryan, Edwin, and I decided to trail off from shopping, and we sat down for some food. While everyone else was shopping, we had an intellectual discussion about positive psychology and behavioral economics. Seriously. After everyone met up at 6, we metroed together yet again to the World Trade Center. It took a while to find, but we finally got inside the 9/11 Memorial, a beautiful park with 2 breathtaking memorial pools. Amazing! This was probably one of the only quiet, reflective places that exist in New York City, if you ask me. And just like that, we were off yet again, back to the metro and off to Grand Central Station to have dinner. We walked inside the Grand Hall, tested out the Whispering Corners, I don't know what they're officially called, and took some pictures in the main terminal before eating dinner. After dinner it was already almost 10 o'clock, but we decided to walk 10 blocks back to the hotel, and I was exhausted. We made a quick photo stop by the beautiful Rockefeller Center and ice skating rink, and then we were back at the Hilton. What a beautiful sight for sore feet, sore everything. But I guess that's what New York and a full day of walking do to you. I was ready to crash, thank goodness Mr. Chan had extra room for me.